Hello everybody. So, in today's video, it's about to get really nerdy because I'm going to be talking about what operating system I use and why. While all these other YouTubers use Windows, I'm one of the very few that uses Linux. It started when I was just getting into computers. I wanted to play Minecraft, but I thought Windows was required because everyone else was using it. My dad had already installed Linux onto our computer, so he said no, and I was going to have to use Linux if I wanted to play it. And it was at that moment when my Linux and technology journey started. My dad was tired of dealing with the viruses and having to pay for an antivirus. So when our computer was in need of an upgrade, his friend suggested Linux. Skip ahead a few years to when I had really started to get into Minecraft at my school. During recess, me and a group of friends would always ask to stay inside and get on the library computers. While these only had Education Edition on them, it was one of the sparks that began it all. After a while, I finally wanted to get Minecraft on our home computer. At the time, I didn't realize that Java Edition could run on anything that could run Java, so I felt Windows was required to be able to actually run Minecraft. My dad said no to allow me to run Windows, but he said that if I wanted to play it, I would need to figure out how to get it to run on Linux. So I began my research. I figured out that there were Linux versions for the Minecraft launcher, and luckily for me, Java 7 was already installed on the computer. I think there was a holiday or something coming up, so I begged my mom to buy me Minecraft. I was able to get everything running, but it was extremely laggy. I thought you were supposed to turn up the render distance to make things better. In hindsight, it feels dumb to say, but hey, we all make our mistakes. A little bit more research took place, and I was able to run Minecraft at a smooth 20 FPS. Fast forward a couple years when Java 8 became required to run any of the newer versions of Minecraft. I of course didn't know what I was doing, so my dad called his friend and we were given the word Debian. Of course, I now know that was the Linux version that what we were using was based on. Me and my dad spent probably an hour or more trying to install Java 8, but with no success. Neither of us knew what we were doing. So finally, my dad told me to try and figure it out. After some Googling and video finding, I found an easy way which used 3 terminal commands to accomplish the task that we had been trying to figure out for a while now. My dad told me to try and see if it would work. So I did, and it worked. And that very moment jump-started an entire journey of learning about Linux. Messing with settings just to see what they would do, learning terminal commands and finding out what they did, and wanting to try out other distributions to see how they worked. Turns out, the distribution that I started with was a version of Zorin OS, which was based on Ubuntu, which is based on Linux, or Debian Linux. And when we finally got a new computer, I installed Ubuntu on it. The more I messed with it, and learned about Linux, the more I heard about distributions like Manjaro and Arch Linux. Eventually, I decided that I was going to try out Arch Linux. However, one failed Arch Linux install later, I settled on Manjaro, which is based on Arch Linux. Finally, after messing with things a little bit more, I was able to successfully install Arch, and still use it to this day. The more I use Linux, the more I love it. If I want to change how something looks or acts, I can do it with just a few simple commands or by editing one file. Instead of being limited by the downfalls of Windows, I can do with my computer as I please. When I say jump, my computer says how high instead of the other way around. Alright guys, that's my story time for today done. If you liked the video, then you know what to do. I really enjoyed talking about my Linux journey, so I thank you for listening. See ya!